family, welcome back to the video. Let's get right into this video. So this video is kind of emotional for me, but also a big learning experience. But I'm just going to tell you and be completely honest as to why I'm shutting this business down. For those of you who are looking, you want to start it and you just don't know where to start, you don't know what to expect, this video is really good for you, and it's going to tell you everything you need to know based on my experience. Last year was a crazy year, a crazy year, but this year I have decided to do everything differently. I'm doing a lot of things differently, and I'm going to share that with you all as the year goes on. Hi family, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for coming back. For those of you who are new to my channel, my name is Mercy. I'm a BSN RN, and on this channel I talk about nursing, lifestyle, beauty, natural hair. I do a little bit of vlogging, I do some home decor, and I just do a little bit of everything. So if any of that sounds really good to you, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can join the family so that you can also never miss another video. With that said, family, let's get into today's video. For those of you who know me, you know that by profession I am a registered nurse, but I'm also a full-time content creator. I don't want to say recent because it's been a few years now, maybe 3 years now, started real estate, and my journey has been quite interesting. So for those of you who don't know, I'm also a real estate investor. I'm not a realtor, but I'm a real estate investor, which means I buy property, I own properties, and sometimes I buy and flip, and I do a whole bunch of different things. So with all that said, I wanted to share something really kind of emotional with you guys about one of my businesses, which happens to be my real estate business. So within the real estate investment sector, so to speak, I do a few different things as well. So some of the things I do is I buy really old properties or homes, and I come and I flip it. So flip it means I renovate it or remodel it. So if it needs a new kitchen, or if the kitchen needs to be brought up to, you know, the 2025 standards, I'll do that. The bathroom, the flooring, the wall colors, and things of that nature. So I'll take a really old house and get my guys to fix it up, to bring it up to code, or to bring it up to the recent standards of what the houses look like. That's one whole thing. It's called flipping, property flipping, or property fix and flip, or whatever, right? Some people do that and sell it. So they get an old house that's worth maybe, let's use $50 for example. They get a really old house that is worth $50 and they'll renovate it, and then now it's worth like $150. So they'll sell it and make a profit of $100, right? That's some people's business. That's their model. They buy the old house, fix it up, and sell it for more. For me, I buy the old house, fix it up, and keep it. So when I do keep it, I do two other things with it. So I either rent it out as a long-term rental, which means that I can have people moving there for a year or 18 months or however long they want to stay. Usually my lease is a year. Some of my leases are 18 months, right? All right, so that's one part. And the new part that I literally started last year, the whole of 2024, was Airbnb, which is short-term rental. So I have a few long-term rentals. I decided to indulge into short-term rental because I really heard so much about it, and I was excited. I read the books, listened to some of the podcasts, followed some other girls on TikTok, and just listened, and really wanted to learn a lot more about Airbnb. And at that time, Airbnb was very popular. You don't hear about it a lot like you did before, but it's still out there. People still have Airbnb. There's still Airbnb in the country and out of the country. So it's not, I don't think it's going anywhere at all, but I do think that it has slowed down. So in 2023, I acquired a property. The end of 2023, I acquired a property. So the first thing I did was the first process I explained before. I flipped the property. So this was a really old house in a really nice neighborhood. The house is like 5 minutes away from my house, which my house is in the suburb, a pretty nice suburb. And so that just tells you how nice the house was, right? But it was the ugliest house in the neighborhood, or on the block, I should say. So I ended up purchasing that home, and then I put some money into it, thank God I was able to get contractors who didn't charge me an arm and a leg. And so they helped me out. We renovated the property and it became beautiful. So at that point, I could have rented it out long term to a renter, or I could have sold it to get the equity that I just put in, or I could have done it as an Airbnb. So because I heard so much about Airbnb and really wanted to try it, after flipping the property, I decided to not only hold it, but turn it into an Airbnb. And for those of you who have followed me, you saw the whole journey. I did the whole thing step by step by step, from the day that I bought the property all the way to the day that the renovation was over, and all the way to the day that I started the Airbnb process. So anyway, I did start the Airbnb process, which means that I furnished the entire house. It was a 3-bedroom, 2 full baths. It had a basement. I also built a brand new deck. It had a 2-car garage. It has a front yard and a backyard. It's a pretty nice house. So anyway, after renovating the property, I decided to not only hold it, but turn it into an Airbnb. So I decided to try out the Airbnb. So my Airbnb started in December of 2023. So in December, I started it, I think it was December 15th, and I was already booked till the next year, which was January. So it was amazing. It was around the holiday season. A lot of people were coming in town to see their family, and they ended up booking my Airbnb, and it was amazing. Like I said, 15 days left out of the year, and I was booked all the way till the next month in the year. So anyway, it was amazing. And throughout the year, I saw that the booking started to go like this for many different reasons. Number one, Airbnb is not as popular as it was before. The second main reason was that my Airbnb was in a residential neighborhood versus a tourist type place, like your downtown area, your airport area, just somewhere busy, mall area and things like that. Mine was in a residential area, which means that a lot of people who come to my Airbnb either came to see family or could not find something closer to the downtown area or those busy areas. All right. So that was one of the reasons. Another thing was that I have a 2 days requirement. So before you book my Airbnb, you have to have 2 days to stay there. Should I say it that way? All right, the requirement to book my Airbnb was that you had to stay for at least 2 days. I think that's a better way to phrase it. The reason for that was, again, I had a friend who really helped me put the whole thing together, him and his wife, and they were amazing in the process because they had their Airbnb and they had experience. And they told me, Mercy, a lot of people who book Airbnbs and hotels, especially Airbnbs for one night, they are partiers. They are young people and they are partiers. I also had an age limit, by the way. So my thing was like, it was very strict, okay? So you had to book it for at least 2 days, and also it was in a residential area. So that kind of made my booking, it narrowed things down a little bit. But even with that, I still got a decent amount of booking. But what I realized was that I feel like I'm all over the place, but I'm just going to tell you and be completely honest as to why I'm shutting this business down. Okay. For those of you who are looking into Airbnb and you want to start it and you just don't know where to start, you don't know what to expect, this video is really good for you. And it's going to tell you everything you need to know. If not, a lot of the things you need to know based on my experience. So anyway, because we were not in the busy areas, because we were in a residential area, and because we had an age requirement and a booking day requirement, amount of days, that kind of narrowed things down a little bit. So again, throughout the year, like January, February, March, April, May, I started to see I want to say steady decline in the amount of bookings I was getting. Now, if you have an Airbnb, you want to be booked for the whole month. You want to have 100% busyness, whatever the word is. I can't remember the word right now, but you want to be booked all month long. Everybody wants that, right? But with the way that my Airbnb was set up, even if I was booked for half of the month, I would have still made a lot of money, which it was decent. I made decent money. But I realized that there was a steady decline because I was in the area that wasn't as busy. So the people who came to visit, their family, or maybe came for a football game or something big, or for work, and didn't find or couldn't find the Airbnbs in the busier area, they were the ones booking my place. The people who wanted to party, they couldn't book my place anyway, because the party goers or the party havers, they will go anywhere. It doesn't matter where the Airbnb is. They just need the address to send off to their friends, and the friends will show up. And so again, I started to see that steady decline, and I didn't like that at all. So even though I was making decent money, I wanted to make more, and that was the point of having a business like an Airbnb in the first place. I wanted to make more. I wanted to make 2 to 3 times what I would have made if I, was renting the place regular. So unfortunately, that didn't happen, and so I learned that lesson. Another thing was, whenever I had guests, I always had to remember, this is me specifically, okay? This is my personality. I call myself type A because I want everything to be perfect. I want everything to turn out good. If I have guests, I want my guests to have the best experience ever. If they need something, I want it to be done like that. So what I ended up seeing was that even though I had a co-host, I had cleaners, I had all of these people, things would come up, and sometimes everybody can't run to it and do it. So I would have to do it. And one of the biggest things was I had to go and clean the Airbnb myself a lot. And so because of that, whenever I had guests, I always had my phone. I was always looking at the phone, looking on the app to see if my guest needed something, or if I was going to have a guest. I always had to make sure that the place was clean. And Lord forbid if my cleaners couldn't go, which happened a lot, I had to go and clean it. So what ended up happening was, instead of the Airbnb being kind of a passive type income for me, it became very active because I was stressed out about it a lot, and I had to go and put my personal time into it when, I could have just had somebody do it. But when those people couldn't do it, it fell back on me. I had to go get the place ready for my guests. So it kind of took that passiveness out of it. And I'm already a very busy person. I have my social media, which is my full-time job, and that is a full-time job. If you do social media, you know that it's a full-time job. I also have my oil business, which I get a lot of orders and a lot of inquiries and a lot of things going on with that. That needs to be managed as well. I have a 5-year-old who's very busy, and she's not homeschooled, but I do a lot with her. So I have a lot of things going on. And with my other properties, I'm the property manager for that as well. So I don't have any company managing my other property. So if my tenants need something, I'm the first person they call, and I'm the first person who has to figure it out. So with adding that stress of the Airbnb, and with the Airbnb, you're constantly having guests. Even I think the highest stay I ever got was 7 days, and the average was 3 days. So you're constantly having people go in and out every 3 days, and the whole place needs to be flipped when the guest leaves, which means it has to be cleaned from top to bottom. I'm talking dishes, linens, floors, bathrooms, kitchen, everything, refrigerator, microwave, everything has to be cleaned from top to bottom before the next guest comes. Otherwise, you get a bad review. So that was causing a little bit of a stress for me as well. So I started to make up my mind. I started to think that it wasn't as passive as I wanted it to be. So I decided to give it a few more months and see what happens. And as the few more months went by, I realized that that was something that was not changing. I had constant guests, and the constant guests, some guests are really quiet, they won't say a word, but some guests are really needy. And for the super needy one, you already know that they're there for trouble. They will ask for the most petty things. They will literally look at the list and see something you don't have and then say, hey, can I have this? And when you say, no, we don't offer that, or we don't have that, it becomes a problem. And then when they go to rate you, they'll give you a bad rating. I will say 80 to 90% of my guests were amazing. They were absolutely amazing, and they gave me really good review. I got a lot of 5-star reviews, but the ones who were not, they were not. Like, I got a 1-star review once from this lady who was asking to do her laundry in the home, and I didn't have to offer a washer dryer, but I offer washer dryer because again, it's an Airbnb, people stay longer, and my goal was to ultimately turn it into a midterm rental, which means they can stay anywhere from a month to like 3 months, or some people stay up to 6-7 months. That's a story for another day. But anyway, so I offer a washer dryer. She got upset because the washer and dryer was in the basement of the property and not upstairs. Well, I don't have a washer dryer room upstairs. I have a whole basement downstairs with a big space where you can go do your laundry. She got upset about that and said the basement wasn't finished. Again, if you saw my series, the basement was clean. It was painted, the floor, like everything was awesome. It just wasn't furnished like the upstairs. And so she got upset about that. And she was supposed to stay she was one of the 7-dayers, came in town for a family thing. So she was going to be there for 7 days, and she wanted to do her laundry the night she came. So that was kind of a red flag, because I can understand if you're there for a few days and you want to do your laundry, do the linens. She wanted to do it the night she came, and she was upset that because it was nighttime and the washer and dryer was in the basement, she was upset about that. That tells me you brought your laundry from wherever you came from to do your laundry. That's number one. Number two, again, I don't have a washer and dryer hookup or space downstairs. The house is just not built like that. So that's something I can't help. But anyway, she got upset and said because of that, she wanted her money back and she didn't want to pay. She brought this up to me the next day. She stayed the night. She asked me about the washer dryer that night, and I told her where it was. So she went downstairs, did her laundry, and came back upstairs. The next morning, she told me that she wanted a full refund, even for the night she was there for. She and her family, she had like 4 kids. So all of the rooms were occupied and they used the stuff, they did their thing. They were there for a night. And she said that she didn't feel like she wanted to stay any longer because the basement gave her a basement feel and she didn't want to spend a lot of time down there. And so she just came up with this bogus excuse as to why I should give her a full refund. I said I wasn't going to give her a full refund because she did stay a night, and we can figure out whatever it is her problem is. And if she wanted to stay longer, she could stay. But if she was to leave, I would take the money for the night that she was there for. And she said no. So then she reported me to Airbnb, gave me the worst rating, said that the place was filthy. She said that the place was so filthy that it was inhabitable, which means that nobody could live there based on how filthy it was. And she said that her kids were having asthma issues. Her husband was having breathing issues, all kinds of things. Like, it's so crazy. So I was already thinking about, shutting this thing down and just go about my business. And when I got that review, it really hurt my feelings. Like, the review didn't hurt my business, but it hurt my personal feeling, because I was like, out of everybody, I go out of my way when it comes to cleanliness. I go out of my way to make my place match the pictures, the vibe, and all of that. So to get a rating like that, it really hurt my feelings just because she wanted her money back. And she did end up getting, I want to say 95% of her money back, but Airbnb agreed with me and said that she wasn't going to get the money back for the night that she stayed, because she stayed, we have to go back in and clean. And we also provided shelter for her for that night, but we also had to go back and reflip the place to get it ready for the next person. So she was very upset that Airbnb said that. So again, she gave me the worst review, gave me a 1-star review, and said that the place was inhabitable. So anyway, that's just an example of some of the guests. I will say she was the worst. She was the worst guest, the worst scenario that happened when I had my Airbnb. So with all that, I decided that by the end of the year, I was gonna leave the Airbnb open till the end of the year. And going into 2025, I did not want to deal with that anymore. I get it if I was getting like, if I was full all month long and was making this 3 to 4 times the money, I get it. I can deal with the headache of the guests. I can deal with that. But because, again, the location wasn't the best for Airbnb, So I had a steady decline in the people who wanted to book. And because I wasn't offering the party bookers, I wasn't like, there was a lot that went into it. And because most importantly, I didn't feel like it was passive, it was more active. I decided I was going to shut the Airbnb down once the year ended. However, I had guests who booked up till, you know, the New Year's, which is this month. So I say that to say, once my last guest leaves, I'm going to shut the Airbnb down. And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to sell the property. I'm not going to refinance the property. Like I talked about before. Again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go and watch my previous Airbnb video. I'm not going to refinance because the interest rates are crazy right now. I'm going to wait till later on. I'm not going to sell. However, I am going to turn the Airbnb into a long-term rental. Not even a midterm rental, y'all. A long-term rental. I have a few amazing tenants. My one tenant has been there now for going on 3 years. I had one tenant who was in one of my properties for 2 years. They moved out, and there's another one there going on 2 years. And I have another, like I have a lot of good tenants. I've had a few issues with tenants here and there. When it's bad, y'all. But I'm grateful right now, knock on wood, I have a few amazing tenants. And so I want to turn the Airbnb into a long-term rental. So I'm officially shutting down my Airbnb business and I'm turning it into a long-term rental. Now for the future, first I will say I already have a tenant for that place because I know a lot of people, especially the people in my area, they're going to reach out and ask if the place is available. The place is not available. It's already been, I started marketing the place as a long-term rental. Once I made the decision that I was going to flip it, you know, change it to a long-term rental, I put it on Zillow, and I had multiple showings in between the times when I didn't have a guest. I had multiple showings, and I picked a family that I feel like will be the best fit for the property. So they're going to be moving in once my last guest leaves, and I go and clean the place and move out of the place. And I'll show you guys the whole process of the move out and all of that. I'll show you, I'm going to keep you guys updated. You guys know that I like to keep you in the loop about everything. So I'll show you that whole process. So yes, I do have a tenant. And I do still want to do Airbnb in the future. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a storage unit, and I'm going to put all of the stuff from the Airbnb because I have a whole house full of furniture. And I'm not going to keep it in my house. I'm trying to get away from the clutter and the hoarding and all of that. I'm trying to have a light and airy living situation, so I'm not going to bring that stuff here. It gives me anxiety. So I'm going to rent a storage unit, put it in there, and I'm still going to pursue my dream of Airbnb because I did learn so much. I can now say that I tried it, I loved it, but I did learn a lot too. So now I know what to do better moving into my next Airbnb property. I know that the location matters a lot. I know, like, I've learned so much throughout having my Airbnb for a full year. If I didn't say that, I have the Airbnb for a whole year. I started in December of 2023, and I'm ending in January of 2025. So that's a whole year, right? A little over a whole year. And so within that time, I learned so much about the cleaning, the decoration, what the guest wants, and what to expect, what not to expect, where to locate my Airbnb, and things like that. So I'm grateful for the experience. I'm still going to do Airbnb. I'm just pivoting right now because at the moment it's not working out where it is, and it's causing me more headache than anything. So yeah, I will still do Airbnb in the future. I will keep you guys posted and updated on the whole move out process, and I'll also keep you guys updated on the new tenant and all of that. Maybe I'll do another video when I go sign my lease with my new tenant. Well, they've already signed the lease, but when I go give them the key, maybe I'll do a video on that. Let me know if you have any more questions about this whole Airbnb situation, real estate, all of that. I still plan God willing, to acquire more real estate in the future. And I still plan to share those experiences with you guys. I know that my content has changed a lot over the year, but I have changed a lot over the years as well. I'm not the same Mercy Gono who started, when I started. My life has changed. I've had to pivot in certain ways. New people have come in, old people have gone. Like, a lot has changed. So I like to just follow my life with my content. It just makes it easier for me to continue to create content versus having to revert back to the same old. So if it seems like my content has changed, that's because it has. And I know that it's educational, motivational, and beneficial to a lot of people as well, to see other parts of my life, because people do learn a lot from other people's experience. I'm one of those people as well. So I say all of that to say I am shutting down the Airbnb, turning it into a long-term rental, moving out, getting a storage, and I'm excited to see what 2025 has to offer. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening to that long rant about shutting my business down. And thank you so much for all the love, all the encouragement, all the inquiries about the Airbnb. Thank you so much. I love and appreciate you guys so much. Comment your favorite part below. Comment what you want to see next. Like I said, if you have any questions, and also please make sure you are still subscribed to the channel by hitting the subscribe button and making sure that it does say subscribe, and making sure that your bell notifications are turned on. Thank you all again so much for your love and support. I love you all, and I'll see you all in my next one. Bye.